Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek Williams, stated that in the coming hours, the citizen Edmundo Gonzalez will be the sub-opponent to testify before the Prosecutor's office. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned that some Pacific islands face inhabilitation due to climate-induced cyclones, oceans heat waves, and rising sea levels during his visit to Samoa. And on Friday, Deputy Foreign Minister of China, Xiaodong, stressed importance on both the upcoming summit of the Forum on African-China Cooperation and the role of the Belt and Road Initiative for Africa. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll be with the news. Stay with us. The Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek Williams, stated that in the coming hours, the citizen Edmundo Gonzalez will be summoned to testify before the Prosecutor's office. Saab summoned the main opposition leader to render statements on his rejection of the final judgment issued by the Supreme Court of Justice, in which the re-election of President Nicolás Maduro was ratified. The Attorney General stated that González Urrutia did not recognize the electoral results given by the National Electoral Council, nor the ratification of the Supreme Court of Justice.
I would like to announce that in the upcoming hours, the citizen Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia will be subpoenaed by the prosecutor's office on the grounds of the ongoing investigation, so that he can provide statements on his self-incrimination, as he declares himself accountable for the website that has usurped nothing more and nothing less than the quality and authority that only corresponds to the Venezuelan electoral power. He will have to render accounts, he will have to appear.
The government of Venezuela condemned in an official communique the statement issued by several countries of the region in relation to the recent Supreme Court's ruling on the presidential elections results, and affirmed that these governments intend to continue violating international law. The Venezuelan communique, which was issued through the Bolivarian Nation's Foreign Minister Ivan Gil, stated that Venezuela rejects in the strongest terms the broad and isolated statements released by the governments of Argentina, Costa Rica, Chile, Ecuador, the U.S., Guatemala, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Dominican Republic, and Uruguay. The document denounced that the 11 governments intend to continue violating international law by committing an unacceptable act of interference in matters that only concern Venezuelans. In other part, the text stressed that Venezuela demands absolute respect for its sovereignty and independence, one after the intense struggle against the most hostile empires, which insist on getting their hands on the natural resources that do not belong to them. The communique also sentenced that these governments, which their position endorse and become accomplices of the crime violence that attack health centers, schools, universities, means of transformations and national symbols, and that left a number of people murdered and wounded with the use of transnational criminal gangs hired for that purpose. The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, urged to maintain respect for the public powers after the Supreme Court of Justice ratifies his victory in the presidential elections. During a meeting with the people of the state of La Guaira, the president congratulated the Supreme Court of Justice for its technical and legal work in the electoral litigation in defense of democracy. Likewise, the National Executive expressed that in view of the attempts to generate violence by the Venezuelan extreme right wing and the U.S. allies, dialogue is the only way for peace to prevail.
Today, the Supreme Court of Justice in its electoral chamber, after doing a technical, scientific, professional and legal work grounded in the laws as the judicial power of the nation, has issued a historical and final judgment. And we say, from the streets of La Guaira and of Venezuela. Holy word, absolute respect for the public powers, respect for the right to peace, respect for national sovereignty, justice, and through justice to continue on the path of peace, work, dialogue, national union. Present and future consensus. Respecting the Constitution and respecting the people.
Likewise, the President assured that he supports the proposal presented by the National Assembly to reform all electoral laws and not to allow the participation of those who do not abide by the laws.
I agree with the proposal that has arisen in the National Assembly today, and I say so. Enough with fascism. Enough with the far right, in Venezuela. Fascism won't pass neither by the bad ones nor by any other. I agree with the proposal that has arisen in the National Assembly to make a reform of all the electoral laws, and that those who ignore the laws, the public powers, the Constitution, and intend to impose a fascist regime, they cannot participate in electoral processes.
In Venezuela, the Supreme Court of Justice unobjectionably certified the results of the presidential elections of July 28, presented by the National Electoral Council. Let's see the details.
During a solemn session in the premises of the country's highest court, the President of the Supreme Court of Justice, Caricila Rodriguez, validated the results of the presidential elections, which granted victory to Nicolás Maduro Moros as re-elected President of Venezuela for the 2025-2031 term.
I hereby certify in an unobjectionable manner the electoral material and validate the results of the presidential election of July 28, 2024, issued by the National Electoral Council, in which Nicolás Maduro was elected as President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. For the constitutional period 2025 to 2031, it is so decided.
In addition, the magistrate of the Supreme Court of Justice also stated that the expert analysis of the tally sheets coincided with the machines in the totalization room.
Based on the results obtained in the expertise process, we can conclude that the bulletins issued by the National Electoral Council regarding the 2024 presidential election are supported by the tally sheets issued by each of the voting machines deployed in the electoral process. And, likewise, these tally sheets maintain full coincidence with the records of the databases of the national totalization centers.
Consequently, the President of the Judiciary urged the National Electoral Council to publish the final results of the electoral process of last July 28, in accordance with the provisions of the electoral law.
The National Electoral Council is urged to publish the final results of the electoral process, held on July 28, 2024, for the election of the President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela in the Electoral Gazette of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, as provided in Article 155 of the Organic Law of Electoral Processes.
Likewise, the President of the Supreme Court of Justice informed that the former presidential candidate of the ultra-right, Edmundo Gonzalez, did not comply with the call made by the Electoral Chamber of the Supreme Court of Justice and did not submit the electoral material requested.
That the former candidate Edmundo Gonzalez did not attend any of the phases of this process, to which he was summoned, and therefore, he did not comply with the order of the highest instance of the contentious electoral jurisdiction of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, nor with the consignment of the tally sheets, the list of witnesses, nor any electoral material. Consequently, he disregarded the mandate in frank and respect to the judicial authority.
In this context, the Attorney General.
And now we go live to listen the Vice President of the Venezuelan Republic, Delcy Rodriguez, and her statements.
Pero ellos también dijeron que no iban a reconocer los resultados electorales, que los resultados electorales serían los que ellos dijesen, porque ellos son superiores.
Because they are superior to Venezuela. They believe, as Washington supports them, Department of State of the United States and the fascist governments of the world, they believe that since then they can do whatever they want in Venezuela. They are wrong, since we have a lot of people in Venezuela and a lot of history and also a lot of institutions here to guarantee peace and tranquility of our republic.
Sino sus resultados. Y por eso González Urrutia dijo también que no firmaba el acuerdo
that he wasn't going to sign the agreement to recognize the results. They were preparing so days before the elections, and just the day before they bought an internet domain where they published the results. And based in those fake results, they sold the world's lie. But the true fraud was the one they were committing. They were consuming. Imagine you, what a danger for Venezuela, repeating this history of Juan Guaido. But this time, they said, we didn't write the formula of taking anyone and proclaim it president of Venezuela. Let's pretend it's a candidate. Let's pretend that there's a candidate and show it around the supposed candidate. But they also said that the results were the ones they had. An enterprise that committed electoral fraud in the name of the United States and other countries on the world that respond to the orders of the Washington government. And here they repeated it. But they never thought that the Venezuelan people in such few time defended democracy and repelled constitutional order immediately. That our armed force and our institutions for security, along with the people, defended Venezuela's peace, defended Venezuela's tranquility. But this doesn't mean that they're not responsible, Gonzalez Urrutia and Maria Corina Machado, of the many deaths that we had, more than 12 dozens in those days after the elections of July the 28th. They are responsible and they have to pay in front of justice. Since they left against our officials, against our police force, against our state police, they attacked them and murdered them. They have to pay. If they pretend to be supported by the United States, then show your face. Present yourself in front of justice like it's demanded. And I, in the name of the President, Nicolás Maduro, I want to thank this document that comes from you, from the social movements in its different expressions, because you are calling of democracy. And also, it's very important that after that fraud that they pretended to impose in our homeland to the world web of fascists supported them, it is important that our answer is keep working for Venezuela, keep guaranteeing our future of peace and tranquility, because we have, yes, a blockade that we have to fight to ensure social happiness of our people. And this Sunday, we have something beautiful, the election of the full 4,500 districts to choose the projects of our community to face fascism, more democracy, more people's participation, to face fascism government of all the popular sectors of Venezuela. They believe that they can take the power from the people. But Chavez did an indestructible power that has allowed that Venezuela is seen today with amazement in front of all things that we have had a commercial blockade, dictatorship of social media and algorithms that promote disease of hate and fascism. When we developed the law project, we said it, the owners of the great technological empires, when they went to the Congress of the United States, they said that the algorithms privileged death to life, hate to love, violence to peace. Social media became algorithms to support violence, to support death, to support hate, and that's why I, as Venezuelan, feel sadness when I heard some of the detainees saying, yes, I killed her, because in social media they said that we have to kill Chavists. We don't need to allow that disease that they are creating to our young people in our society. We need to create a powerful education from schools and family, inculcate values, the values that means appreciate our lives and other people's life, what means to respect life itself and others' lives, what means friendship, the value of friendship and brotherhood, as above hate, love must prevail. And that's why, in the name of the President, I received this document with love as the expression of your love for Venezuela, your love for preserving peace, taking care of peace that has took care of us. Because extreme right, since Chavez in 1998 came to power, they haven't rested with their hate. The extremists of yesterday are the ones we're seeing in the pictures today. The images are the same, the faces are the same, they don't change. The opposites. They have become people without soul. They don't care about murdering. They don't care about condemning a whole nation to economic blockade. They don't have a soul. And that is why we have this law against fascism and any kind of expression fascist, because we mean what meant in Europe, the fascism disease that came from the United States and caused the Second World War. And we from Venezuela have responsibility not only for our people but also for humanity. A human humanity, like Martí said. Humanity must be human, and fascism never will triumph. Love, peace, and brotherhood and friendship will always triumph. Long life for Venezuela.
Those were the statement of the Vice President of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez. Now let's take a short break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English. We'll be right back. Welcome back to From the South.
During a solemn session in the premises of the country's highest court, the President of the Supreme Court of Justice, Caricila Rodriguez, validated the results of the presidential elections, which granted victory to Nicolás Maduro Moros as re-elected President of Venezuela for the 2025-2031 term.
I hereby certify in an unobjectionable manner the electoral material and validate the results of the presidential election of July 28, 2024, issued by the National Electoral Council, in which Nicolás Maduro was elected as President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela for the constitutional period 2025 to 2031. It is so decided.
In addition, the magistrate of the Supreme Court of Justice also stated that the expert analysis of the tally sheets coincided with the machines in the totalization room.
Based on the results obtained in the expertise process, we can conclude that the bulletins issued by the National Electoral Council regarding the 2024 presidential election are supported by the tally sheets issued by each of the voting machines deployed in the electoral process, and, likewise, these tally sheets maintain full coincidence with the records of the databases of the national totalization centers.
Consequently, the President of the Judiciary urged the National Electoral Council to publish the final results of the electoral process of last July 28, in accordance with the provisions of the electoral law.
The National Electoral Council is urged to publish the final results of the electoral process, held on July 28, 2024, for the election of the President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela in the Electoral Gazette of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, as provided in Article 155 of the Organic Law of Electoral Processes.
Likewise, the President of the Supreme Court of Justice informed that the former presidential candidate of the ultra-right, Edmundo Gonzalez, did not comply with the call made by the Electoral Chamber of the Supreme Court of Justice and did not submit the electoral material requested.
That the former candidate Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia did not attend any of the phases of this process, to which he was summoned, and therefore, he did not comply with the order of this, the highest instance of the contentious electoral jurisdiction of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, nor with the consignment of the tally sheets, the list of witnesses, nor any electoral material. Consequently, he disregarded the mandate in frank and respect to the judicial authority.
In this context, the Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek William Saab, highlighted the importance of the work of the Supreme Court of Justice in the fulfillment of justice for the defense of democracy.
The Electoral Chamber of the Supreme Court of Justice has issued a truly transcendental and historical ruling for the country. I also consider as Attorney General of the Republic that the same is a mandatory compliance in all its parts. It validates the electoral results issued by the only existing electoral power in the country, which is the National Electoral Council in the terms already known.
For his part, the Foreign Affairs Minister of Venezuela, Iván Gil, demanded the international community to stop foreign interference in the internal affairs of the Venezuelan people.
Today it is clear, the whole process is well written, how the details of the electoral process were carried out, the competences of the Supreme Court of Justice, its electoral chamber and the competences of the National Electoral Council, and it is very important for the world to know that in Venezuela the Constitution of the Bolivarian Republic has triumphed, the rule of law has triumphed, its institutions have triumphed, and once again in Venezuela we demand respect. We demand non-interference in internal Venezuelan affairs, which, as you have been able to see live and direct on television, are matters that have a solution within the framework of our Constitution.
With this final ruling, the Supreme Court of Justice ratified the victory of the re-elected president, Nicolás Maduro, in the elections of July 28, after the campaign promoted by the extreme right wing that sought to disregard the powers of the Venezuelan state and to implant an alleged matrix of fraud, while through social networks they incited fascist actions.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.